Is there still hope King K.Rool could maybe appear in Donkey Kong Bananza, or is this just Kope with a capital K? Hey everyone, Andre here, and I've been watching a ton of the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct, and I think I may have found a little hint, maybe, at King K.Rool being in the final game, although it's far from a sure thing, so I don't want to read too much into it, but I do want to talk about it, along with a few other Easter eggs and details I picked up on, just so this video is more than just a possibly invalid theory here in a couple of weeks. In any case, let's go ahead and get to the Easter eggs I discovered, and we're going to shrink myself for that. There we go, much better. And let's start off with an Easter egg we've actually talked about before, as it's appeared in footage before this, being this map. And you'll find a variety of maps like this, and they often seem to contain some kind of Easter egg or reference to a past game. This one in particular is referencing the world map from Donkey Kong Country 3, with a very similar layout and structure to that game. So that's pretty fun. But beyond this, we also got other new Easter eggs that we haven't really seen before. So we're going to push ahead a little bit here to this 2D side-scrolling challenge course that is, of course, a direct reference to Bramble Scramble from Donkey Kong Country 2, and we've seen other levels similar to this in Tropical Freeze, but this one does seem to really evoke that DKC2 era from the SNES. It's not an exact recreation, but it's obviously evoking that, which is really fun and a classic level. Next, we have this pretty obvious reference to the original Donkey Kong arcade game, right down to the ladder, that we don't know if you can climb it or not, but based on the size, I'm guessing not, though it would be pretty cool if you had this giant recreation of the original arcade game. In any case, this time you're playing as Donkey Kong, of course, and instead of normal barrels rolling at you, you have oil barrels rolling at you. Quite huge ones that are very terrifying looking. Although you can see some ordinary barrels at the end there, just past the blue ladder. So I'm guessing this is just primarily a horizontal stage still, that's just themed the original Donkey Kong, but we've seen girders like this elsewhere in the game too, but this seems to be the most direct reference we've seen to the original arcade game yet, in terms of, level design. Beyond this though, speaking of references, we have another reference to what appears to be Mario Odyssey, in which you can see buildings both being destroyed by Donkey Kong, but also in the background as well. Very much evocative of New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, which, Nick just posted a whole theory video speculating that maybe this game is acting really as a precursor or prequel to that game, and maybe we're going to build New Donk City together with Donkey Kong, or Donkey Kong and Pauline. We'll have to wait and see, but I love the references so far to Mario Odyssey. Especially Pauline is a major connective point. Next, we of course have Diddy and Dixie here riding Rambi, and Banjo. Donkey Kong and Pauline seem to be riding Rambi as well. So which one's a real Rambi? Are there two real Rambis? In any case, I love how Diddy lifts up his hat here, but more interesting is that in the background, we can see on the wall, it says, whoops, we can see it says Double Trouble. It's hard to see if you can see it better here if I freeze it at the right time, but there's no perfect frame of this. But it says Double Trouble, which is a reference to Donkey Kong Country 3, and its subtitle being Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. So that's a neat little Easter egg. Now, speaking of Rambis, there appear to be a few of them here as well, including a red one in front and a gray one on the desk next to Diddy in front of the podium. And the odd thing about them is those two don't appear to move. If I play the scene, you can see that they just kind of sit there and don't do anything, unlike the actual real Rambi in the background right there that does move. So I don't know if these are statues or some kind of trophy reward or something for, placing first, second, or third, or whatever this, that race challenge was, or some kind of reward for it in any case. And also, speaking of that podium, it did remind me of something, because if I go to this screenshot of it, it gives us a better look at it. It reminds me of Cranky's Video Game Heroes from Donkey Kong Country 2. I don't know if it's a direct reference or not, because podiums, are a pretty standard race feature, but I thought that was, a potential fun reference in a game that's all about meta references and all that. Also, there's totally a checkpoint star barrel from the classic DKC games in the background as well. Next up is a really random reference, and I don't mean Mario, Donkey Kong, or this pizza here, but I'm talking this parrot, because it's actually a reference to the DSi Sound app that featured a parrot mascot, essentially, or character in the app. And there it is! So what a random thing to include, but I kinda love it. And now we've officially reached the Kope part of the video, in which I go over my tiny little evidence of King K.Rool maybe being in Donkey Kong Bananza. There's actually a couple of scenes that reminded me of him. I'll go over the first one first, which is the lesser convincing one for me. But this creature, for whatever reason, this Grumpy Kong enemy creation, definitely gave me King K.Rool vibes, in particular with the reptilian look and the, the kind of crocodile-like face almost. It's a stretch, I'll be honest, but even the fire on top reminded me of the crown that King K.Rool has, which, for reference, here's King K.Rool, and here is this, whatever this thing is again. I want to stress this is not in any way proof one way or the other, but I did find it interesting. Now, I want to get to the scene that really did evoke the idea of King K.Rool for me, which again, I realize is a stretch, but here it is. This weird plant thing, oh, let me go in and loop it here. This weird plant thing straight up looks reptilian, or at least like, green, like green reptile type skin, along with like claws that seem like they could be very similar to, again, King K.Rool. Look at that, like his hand claws. In fact, even reminded me more specifically of his feet, which, by the way, don't ever Google King K.Rool feet. I made that mistake, I won't ever do it again. But of his foot from Donkey Kong 64, which if we go back to this clip right here, we can see it, we can see some of the similarity. Now, I want to stress, I am fully aware this is a huge stretch. This very likely is just a plant. You can also see some weird plant creature in the background, like wiggling back and forth. I don't know what that's about. And the similarity could just be entirely coincidental. But in a game based, largely based around seemingly being a prequel and also having references to other games, we can't rule it out entirely. Now, to be fully honest with you, at this point, I am inclined to think that if King K.Rool or the Kremlings were in the game, they would have been in the Direct. Because I think they will want to advertise that, especially, knowing that would appeal to old school Donkey Kong fans. And it's hard to imagine him even having a major role if he hasn't been shown yet. But on the other hand, it's not impossible. Tokyo EAD does like having their secrets, the developers of the game, and anything is possible. So I have hope, maybe, and I posted this on Twitter too, and it got at least around 500 likes so far. And when have 500 people ever been wrong on Twitter? Let's just ignore most of the time. In any case, everyone, that's why I wanted to show you my copium for possibly King K.Rool being in DK Bananza. But even if he's not, the game's looking amazing. I won't be torn up about it because I'm loving the new character designs. Which, speaking of which, Nick, who's been making shorts about the game for us, among others, Steph Tendo here on the channel, he had a theory that if King K.Rool does end up being in the game, he might end up possibly taking the form of one of the giant elders, maybe being a fourth one. We've only seen 3, and 3 is kind of an odd number, isn't it? Maybe a fourth one could be King K.Rool or someone King K.Rool adjacent that lends us the power of crocodiles or whatever it is. Now, why is he helping us? We have no idea, of course, but maybe he wants to, battle these new evil Kongs as well. I don't know, I'm just theorizing, or Nick was theorizing. I like the idea in general. But there you have it, everyone. Those are my Easter eggs and discoveries and possible King K.Rool hints I discovered. Let me know in the chat or in the comments what you think below. Am I smoking copium at this point? Let me know. I gotta hear it, and I'm just curious to see what ends up happening. But in any case, I'm super stoked with this game and I can't wait. So thanks for watching, click subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.